When I was in college and working on my education degree, we talked a lot about knowledge. Acquiring knowledge is learning, but applying knowledge is wisdom. And so today I come to you not just to share with you a story where you can acquire some knowledge, but also some wisdom so you can apply it during your Christmas season to make things a little bit different and hopefully more rich and definitely more spiritual. So a long time ago, in a country far, far away, there was a boy named Mikulás. He was born in what is now the country of Turkey. While he was still very young, his parents unfortunately died. But his uncle, who was a bishop in the Christian church, took care of him. Nikolaos is a Greek word. In English, Nikolaos is spoken as Nicholas. Nicholas grew up to become the bishop of a place called Myra. Myra is a small town. He believed that God wanted him to be kind and generous, so he helped many people by freely giving them gifts that changed their lives. People made fun of Nicholas for giving those gifts, but that didn't stop him. For instance, one day he heard three sisters talking. They said, "We're very poor, and if we can't earn enough money, we'll have to become slaves. What do we do?" So Nicholas went to work. That night, the girls carefully hung their stockings by their chimney to dry. Legend says that Bishop Nicholas dropped 3 balls of gold down the chimney and into their stockings. The girls discovered the gold and lived happily ever after. Nicholas didn't stop there, though. He did many great deeds for many thankful people, spent his whole life giving gifts because he believed that God wanted him to. A long time ago, though, on December 6th, Nicholas died. But after his death, people continued to see him. They saw Nicholas performing miracles. They saw him saving lives. They saw him in 1 minute, and then in another minute he was flying and gone. And for this reason, the church gave Bishop Nicholas a new name, Saint Nicholas. In honor of St. Nicholas, people gave gifts to each other every year on December 6th. Some gave oranges to represent his gifts of gold, or candy canes to represent his bishop's staff. Other people gave toys and trinkets, but people didn't give gifts on Christmas Day back then because it was a holy time and a time to remember baby Jesus. So the stories of St. Nicholas spread throughout the world, and as they did, they slowly changed. They grew into the different stories that lived already in those lands that St. Nicholas's person came to. In France, he was known as Père Noël. Children would fill their shoes with treats for Père Noël's donkey, Guy, and leave them by the fire. And if the children were good, then Père Noël would leave candy or toys in their shoes. In Eastern Europe, St. Nicholas is known as Mikulás, who comes on December 6th and leaves before Christmas. Children place a boot on their windowsill, and Mikulás, with his 2 little helpers, a good angel, and Krampus, a mean elf, will either give you treats if you're good, or gives you coal, or a carrot, or maybe a potato if you're very bad. In England, St. Nicholas is known as Father Christmas. Father Christmas is the spirit of the good old days of feasting and happy times. As time passed, Father Christmas started bringing gifts to children. Nowadays, people call him both Father Christmas and Santa Claus in England. But it was the Dutch people who brought their stories of Sankt Nicolaas to New York and America. Say that 3 times fast. Sankt Nicolaas. Sankt Claus rides a horse called a mergo, and he has a tiny helper named Zwarte Piet, who climbs through the chimneys to drop toys to good children who have their names in Sankt Nicolaas's book. New York back then was a place where many people from all over the world came to live, and it was here that Sankt Nicolaas became the patron saint of the city, and he gained fame with a new name called Saint Nick. One writer described him as a jolly old elf who carried a clay pipe. St. Nicholas became magical. Back in those days, Christmas was a hard time. People were hungry and cold, and there were many fights, and there wasn't a whole lot of hope at that time of the year. The stories of St. Nick and others joined together to become Santa Claus. who came on Christmas Day, not on December 6th, because Santa Claus came to give people hope in the longest, darkest time of the winter. Santa Claus has traits from all over the world. He came from the North Pole with his sleigh like Père Noël. He gave gifts like Father Christmas. Like St. Nicholas, he gave to girls and boys. And like many of the legends, he gifted only to good children and not naughty kind. But it was the poem, The Night Before Christmas, that gave the world the description of Santa Claus as we know it today. Boys and girls learned to behave in order to earn presents, and some people forgot that St. Nicholas gave presents to everyone with no strings attached. You see, St. Nicholas and Santa Claus, although they're very closely related, are different people. Both bring joy and love at Christmas. Both have saved people from sadness and loneliness. They're both very important to many people, but there's a few key ways that they are different. You see, St. Nicholas is Christian, and he worked miracles. During his life and even after his death, he gave freely to all people, mainly children, but all people. There were no strings attached. You didn't have to earn the gifts from St. Nicholas. He asked you in return only to believe in God and to serve your neighbors. And his day is December 6th. Now, Santa Claus is a legend of Christmas, and he works magic, not miracles. He gives toys to good children, and he keeps track of who's naughty and nice. He asks us to believe in him and to just be nice. His day is December 25th. You see, there are many of us who want to live our life like the little boy named Mikulás. We believe that Christmas is about God coming to the world and God giving us gifts. We believe that Santa Claus is very special, but St. Nicholas is holy, and we want to love each other with no strings attached. So we call ourselves the Order of St. Nicholas. We love like St. Nicholas, so we give gifts like Santa Claus, but we want all of you to know today that Santa Claus and St. Nicholas are different stories, and we hope that you'll give great gifts to all people this Christmas. To give like Nicholas, without strings attached, without naughty and nice. And here's the thing. If you do make some wrong choices, if you do have a hard time being the best version of yourself this Christmas, don't ask yourself whether you've earned a present from Santa Claus or not. Just ask yourself whether you've shown enough love like Nicholas. Ask yourself whether you've cared for your family and your neighbors and your friends like Nicholas. Ask if you've been generous and compassionate and kind to everyone you meet like Nicholas. And that way you don't have to live with yourself measuring and gauging and finding your own worth in your actions. Because God loves you. You don't have to earn that love. You don't earn that grace. You just get it by who you are and by your belief. That's the message of St. Nicholas this Christmas. That's the way to put God back into the Christmas spirit. That's the way to make Christmas holy, more so than magical. And especially this year in this pandemic, people need all the love they can get, and they need all the kindness they can get, and all the generosity they can get. So go be Nicholas to someone. Amen.